Okay guys, we are doing a city drawing today. So same thing that you're gonna need: a piece of paper, landscape style, an eraser, a pencil, and a straight edge. So today, like I said, we're gonna focus on drawing just a quick city. So this it's gonna be a lot like when we prepped for the hallway, but it's gonna be a little more detailed. 2-point perspective again, so we need a horizon line and 2 vanishing points. So let's just draw our horizon line down the middle of our page. And we're gonna put, you can do it a little darker than what I just did. Then we're gonna put our 2 vanishing points at the ends. Okay, and I really want to see these, so please make sure that you draw them, because a lot of people didn't have them drawn in the practice, and I could find that most of you knew that there was vanishing points, but some people, they didn't even exist at all. So please make those clear so that I can see that you have drawn them. So 2 vanishing points at the end of your lines. Okay, so we are going to draw just a city with a couple of buildings, a sidewalk, and a road. Pretty simple. So just like when we drew the boxes on the horizon line, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to make it taller because it's going to be like a city building, so a skyscraper. So we're going to take our ruler and we're going to draw the middle building, because you need to go in a specific order where you're going to set up your city, and I'll basically tell you what to do as we go. So this line needs to be taller above the horizon line than below, because like I said, this is like a city skyscraper, so we don't want it to dip way low. And then just like we did with our 2-point practice, we connected the top of the line and the bottom of the line back to both vanishing points. We're gonna do the same thing here. So line up the bottom of your line, and I'm just gonna draw just a shorter line. It doesn't need to be very long. And the same thing, connect it to my right vanishing point. Then we're going to take our top of the line and connect it back to our right vanishing point and our left. Okay, it's really important that these lines always lead to the vanishing point. I had a lot of people not doing that on the practice. Okay, so now, once you've done that, we're going to close our box off. So we are going to, I'm going to make mine as wide as my ruler. It's up to you, but a skyscraper is kind of more narrow. So I'm going to make it a tall, narrow building. Okay, now I'm going to erase my horizon line inside of my skyscraper because it is a solid building. It is not transparent. Okay, so we have our first building, and it's really important to set that up because everything else is going to fall in line with where that one building begins. Okay, now we're going to take our ruler and we're going to draw our sidewalk. So this is important to do next because our sidewalk will also help us set up where everything will go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my ruler with the left vanishing point, and I'm going to line it up with the bottom of this building. And I'm going to draw this line, and it's going to extend past the building just a little bit like that. Then, keeping my ruler still connected to the left vanishing point, I'm just going to slide it down. And however wide you want your sidewalk to be is how wide you will leave that area. And you will draw a second line. So notice it looks like a spotlight or like a mini train track. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this side here, lining up with the bottom of my building to the right vanishing point. It's going to cross over, and I'm going to stop my line at the bottom line that we just drew before. And you'll see why that's important. So let me show you that again. the right vanishing point I drew extended past the building, and it stopped once we got to that other line. Okay, now I'm going to move my ruler, and I'm going to try and keep it consistent with how wide I left my lines here. Still lining up with my right vanishing point. I'm going to draw my line until we stop and get to that other. Then I'm going to erase these 2 extra lines outside of my 2 spotlights per se, which are actually sidewalks, and you'll see that here in a second. So you can see where we just created the sidewalk. And again, that's important because now we can place our other buildings. But we're going to finish the sidewalk. So sidewalks aren't just flat lines, they have a curb. So we're going to take our ruler at that little corner right here, and we're going to draw a very small vertical line. Very small. Like that's going to be our curb to our sidewalk. So it doesn't need to be large because curbs aren't huge. So then I'm going to connect to my left vanishing point and the bottom of that line we just created. And I'm going to draw back. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing to this other vanishing point on the right side, the bottom of my line, connect it back. And now we have a curb, okay? So now we're going to draw our sidewalk lines. This is the #1 mistake that I see. So because it's a little bit unique in its rules, it's that opposite rules again. So if I want to draw sidewalk lines on the right side, I'm actually going to connect it back to the left vanishing point. If I'm going to draw sidewalk lines on the left side, I'm going to connect it back to the right. It feels bizarre, but it's the correct way. If you try to freehand it, it looks like a fence rather than a flat sidewalk. So you'll see this square is already done for us, so we're just going to focus on doing the other lines. So I like to line up my ruler with that first one and then kind of gauge where I'm going to have my sidewalk line. So the ruler is connecting to the left vanishing point, and then I'm going to line up, and wherever I want my next sidewalk line to be, I'm going to slide my ruler and I'm going to draw a line in between the 2 spotlight lines that we drew originally. Then I'm going to keep moving my ruler up, making sure that it's still connected to the vanishing point. Now we still need to follow that rule that our sidewalk lines are going to get closer together as they reach the vanishing point. Whoops, my ruler slid a little bit. So notice how I'm just like keeping it held down over there, but I'm still just rotating my ruler up. And my lines are getting closer together as they get in the distance, because that's going to really help us get that strong perspective. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing on the left side. So line up with the right vanishing point, and you're going to keep drawing your lines, moving your ruler. Then your lines are going to get closer together. Okay, so now we have our building and our sidewalk. Okay, so it looks pretty cool. Now we're going to add 2 more buildings and some road lines, and then this drawing will be complete. So the next thing that we need to do is draw a building on either side. Let's start with the left side. So the same deal as before, we're going to start off with that really strong center line, and we know where the building is going to land because the sidewalk shows us that. So it's up to you if you want to have it taller or shorter, but in theory, buildings would taper and get shorter as they get closer to the vanishing point. So I'm going to do mine about right here, and I'm going to make this one shorter. So I'm going to draw that center line, and it's going to touch the sidewalk. Okay, now we're going to connect it back to both vanishing points. Let's start with the top of the line. It's going to lead back to the left vanishing point here. Okay, now I'm going to draw a line back to the bottom, but wait a second, the sidewalk already does that for us, so we don't need to worry about that. So that's done. What we need to do is we're going to close off this side. Okay, so however wide you want this side of the building to be, and then you can erase your horizon line. That line. So now it looks just like a board standing straight. Then I'm going to take the top of the line and connect back to the right vanishing point. And you're going to draw this line and you're going to stop once you get to that other building. Okay, because it's kind of tucked behind it. So this next one is the absolute #1 mistake that I see in this drawing. Oh, we're not going to erase that quite yet. But that is everyone always neglects this next line. So we still need to connect the bottom line back to the vanishing point, and you'll see why when we do it. So take the bottom of the building, connect it back to the right vanishing point. And you're going to draw and stop once you get to that other building. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of actually darken this line here because it's looking a little bizarre that it doesn't have a complete bottom. It's up to you if you want to do that. But now I'm going to erase the horizon line inside because it's not a transparent box. And look what doing that bottom line created. It kind of created that dark, creepy alleyway, right? But it's important to have that or the building isn't complete. So go ahead and draw another building on the other side on your own. Okay, so now we have our city buildings, sidewalk, and now we're going to do just a solid road line. So you're going to take your ruler, line it up with wherever you want the road to be directing, and we're going to draw somewhere what would be considered the halfway point of the road. We're going to draw a line, and it's going to extend pretty far. We'll choose where to erase in a minute. So we're making a little mini spotlight, so we need to do a second line next to it, lining up with the same vanishing point. Okay, so that's what we have. Now we need to close this line off, and we're going to use that rule of opposites. So we're going to line up with the right vanishing point, and we're going to draw a little line in between the two that we just created. And then we'll erase the extra lines. Okay, so you can see that it basically created that road line, and this would be our intersection if we were to draw another one. So another thing that I want you to add, some clouds. They would be really large up here, and then they would get really small in the distance. And I just want you to do that. These don't need to be fancy clouds. You can see where mine are just wispy lines, but it really makes that illusion strong. And because we're not doing a project, I really want you to see that and draw it for yourself. So we've got those really large clouds up here, and then it's like it's being pulled to these two vanishing points here. So same deal if we were to draw, and you don't have to draw this part, I'm just going to show you really fast. If we were to draw a row of like windows, right? Whatever side of the building the windows are, you would lead back to that vanishing point. It's a lot like when we drew a door on the house of the railroad scene, right? So you got to draw the top of the windows, the bottom, or like lockers. The top of the window, or bottom of the window, and then we would just draw like that. And then if we wanted to do a door, it'd be the same deal, lead back to that vanishing point. Okay, so this is all we're doing for this assignment. Make sure you take a picture I am going to have you guys write a word right now. So let's do city project, exclamation point. I want you to draw that or write that phrase on your picture right now, and then take a picture and submit your assignment. Why I'm doing that is I have a lot of people who are not following the demo, and I can tell, and so that things are being drawn incorrectly. So please make sure you have that keyword phrase so that you can get full credit on your assignment, so I know that you followed the video. Okay, so make sure you get that in, and we'll see you the rest of the week.